Welcome to the Financial Legacy Podcast. I am your host, Maria Ellis. On every episode, I will bring you my perspective and the perspective of my guest on financial and estate planning. Here at the Financial Legacy Podcast, we're changing lives one person at a time by creating your own estate and financial legacy. To help you create and enjoy your financial legacy, connect with us at financiallegacy.life for your complimentary consultation. Today, I'm going to continue our conversation about my recent book, Family Business Legacy Plan, The Ultimate Guide to Creating a Plan that is fair and equitable for all. And I'm going to share with you a story about a client of mine here in New York City. I know that this kind of information would be helpful to you, especially if you are considering creating a estate plan or a family business plan. So let me share with you this story about this couple here in New York. They are they're in real estate business, and as you probably know, real estate is a very competitive area. Certainly is an area that is a long-term investment and an area that people use as part of either earning a living, like in this case for this couple. They help clients diversify their portfolio, their investment portfolio. So this client has had this company for over 20 years now. And they have primarily been growing with a lot of their international clients, and they have been able to secure really good properties for them that are able to have long-term potential gains. And at the same time, they use those properties as like a second home for themselves, so that when they come to the United States, they have a place, they have a home that they could spend a couple of weeks, and then the rest of the weeks they either rent them out or they lend it to friends and whatnot. So that's the nature of their clients. So they provide a one-stop shopping for these international high net worth clients. Also, they have some domestic clients. The idea here is that when they come, people who are interested in buying real estate, this couple, this business in real estate here in New York, they provide a one-stop shopping, meaning they have a team of people, they have appraisers, they have attorneys, they have real estate attorneys that specialize in real estate, they have estate planning attorneys, they have CPAs, so that on an annual basis, their clients are able to work on taxes, do the required filing of taxes and payment of taxes. So it is a really great service that they offer to clients. The company provides unique and luxury properties that have a long-term potential of being very lucrative. As you probably know, when it comes to real estate here in Manhattan, the competition is very fierce. This particular client of mine, they operate on a business model of providing personalized recommendations that will enable their clients and investors to increase their overall return on equity. So, like most entrepreneurs, this founding real estate couple has a stressed life. They are blessed, however. They have two older daughters. One daughter is 34 years old, and the other one is 38. They're both, the daughters, like the parents, they are highly educated. So for that, they are very grateful, and the only concern is that they also have an elderly parent, and so in addition to the stressful life of their business, they also are having the stress of taking care of the mother who has Alzheimer's disease. So oftentimes they feel like, they really don't have the free time to go and travel and enjoy life. This couple is now in their 60s and the 70s, 60, 70 years old, and they are at a point where they would like to start divesting and or start thinking about, family succession. So one of the things that they are worried about also is that since they have a good profitable business, they are paying a lot of money on taxes. And of course, we try to pay the tax that is fair and that is required. But most business owners try to find ways, legitimate legal ways that they could minimize the amount of taxation that they actually have to pay. So one of the biggest challenges for this company, due to now the current global recession, is that employees are not quite as motivated and they are not quite as creative to do whatever is necessary to bring the company uh, to to maximize both the sales and the profitability of the company. So the client called and my client called and said, we need to, how can we become more profitable and what can we do to start creating a family legacy plan? What are the things to consider to do that? Um, so they decided one of the things that I have recommended after listening to the client's concern was to be able to increase communication both with the family as well as with the employees, um, in an effort to be able to understand their needs and to be able to create a comprehensive business plan, as well as a detailed succession plan. So as they have conversations with their employees, making sure that the employees understand the mission of the company, what are the present issues that need to be addressed, how can we continue to increase sale and profitability. And with the family, of course, trying to understand what their children, or in this case, their daughters, two daughters, would like to do as far as their involvement with the company. So this allowed my client an opportunity to uh, create a succession plan to identify and to implement their wishes in terms of legacy. They also, I had also recommended to my clients to create an advisory board. Um, Oftentimes, the smaller businesses do not have advisory boards. So, after you reach a certain level of sales, it is important, I feel, to have an advisory board that is composed of both family members as well as non-family members, people who actually have the skill sets to move the company forward and to lead them to profitability. So because of this advisory board, who actually met on a quarterly basis, the company began to increase sales and profitability. As well as when they created their strategic plan, they my client started to delegate more activities to their two daughters, who one of them have been working on a part-time basis at the company, and she actually decided to, start on a full-time basis. And the area that she enjoyed participating in was within the sales and customer satisfaction. So she was the direct connection with sales and with clients. And then the younger daughter was involved into mergers and acquisitions. She was not associated with the company, but she was nonetheless now becoming part of the advisory board and getting much more involved with the day-to-day operations of the company, so that at any point in given time, she could be a valuable asset to the organization as the organization began to look forward in terms of what is it that they would like to do. So after creating a strategic business plan, they also make sure that they retain good people, meaning they wanted to incentivize key employees to make sure that they stay with the company and that they remain and they become much more involved in the organization. At my recommendation, they also establish what we call a contingency plan. And a contingency plan basically prepares you as a business owner to plan for unexpected events, live events, such as, if you as the business owner gets sick, or if you, uh, God forbid, somebody passes, somebody dies, one of the owners dies. If we have that contingency plan, then the daughters in this case will be able to know what was the wishes of their parents. Um, I recently know of a good friend who she was very, very savvy, nonetheless, and she had a business, a financial services business with many, many clients. And she passed on, and she did not leave any instructions to, in this case, her daughter. And that became very challenging for the daughter, trying to determine what would the wishes of the mother would have been. So that's a scenario that we don't want to have. As you as the business owner continue to do your planning, one of the areas that I often recommend to looking into and is to purchase what is called a keyman insurance. So keyman insurance basically protects the business, right? So again, in the event that something happens to one of the founders, the keyman insurance is able to continue to provide cash flow to the company. And it is especially important in a case where there are other investors that are part of that company that are not necessarily part of the family. So, as one of the family members passes on, the 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 heirs may want to buy out the other partners, and this Keyman insurance will provide the cash flow to be able to do that. So again, Keyman insurance is very important. So if you are a small business owner or a medium-sized business owner, privately held, and you have other investors, Keyman insurance, I think it is something that you may want to definitely consider. So at my encouragement, this client in New York also created what I call a transition plan. That came also as a direct result of our we had quarterly meetings with the advisory board. So that was discussed, and it was considered to be a good idea for the founding members to create a transition plan. And the business owners, of course, part of that plan, what that allowed the business owners to do is to be able to identify uh, who will be the next generation of leaders, people who are going to move the company forward, um, people that were motivated and they wanted to implement the plan. They wanted to, my client wanted to be able to communicate their longer term vision to the next generation, as well as the leaders that were coming up in the succession plan. So the the composition of that was both family members, as well as non-family industry experts. So they were part of the transition plan. So whenever you create a transition plan, it's very important that you have advisors and people that are considered to be stakeholders, meaning people that They're either investors or they are part of your family to which you are going to be able to allocate a certain amount of stock or ownership of your company. So they they were able to identify again the family members who wanted to be part of that transition plan, and also non-family members uh, that were industry experts that were going to enable the company to bring them to the next level. So the next step was for them to consider the skill sets of their two daughters. And as I mentioned, one of them had already been working part time with the company, and the other was not involved at all. But the family wanted to accommodate the lifestyle choices that their two daughters have selected, and whether or not they wanted to continue with the business, helping the business grow. And of course, part of that is to analyze and to determine what are the skill sets and the experience that your children, your daughters or sons have, so that when you do a plan, you will be able to match the skill sets of the people, whether they are family members or not, based on what positions are critical for the organization in order to continue the legacy. So the if the in the case of in this particular case with my clients, one of the things that they decided to do, since one of the daughters became full-time employee of the organization, is to be able to create employment agreements that were very specific, that have bonus monies paid extra to based on performance, and equity incentive plans as well. So there were agreements to ensure that future leaders remain with the company through the transition as well. So with my assistance, this very important client was able to identify key stakeholders for the real estate business, and they have be able to move forward uh, in that regard. So the next step, it should be noted that this client would have liked not to have been able to create this particular client could not have created a transition plan by themselves. And if you're in that position where you're thinking about, divesting or selling or creating a succession plan, it is critically important that you actually surround yourself with trusted professionals. And I mentioned that earlier in our conversation, but it's critically important that you have your accountant, your insurance consultant, your investment consultants, business consultants, and succession plan consultants to sort of help you crystallize your thinking in terms of what exactly you personally would like to accomplish and what the organization needs in order to secure a future. So, as you're listening to this podcast, your question may be, when is the right time for you to start thinking about succession plan, and how do you prepare your family for a business transition? It has been my experience working with clients that it is really a very difficult and yet very important decision-making process. So there are many opinions in this matter. However, I think that the sooner you start thinking about creating a legacy, whether it is by selling your business and using those funds to have family offices and allocating, funds to your family members, or whether it is to continue the business. The sooner you start the process, the better you will be. Um, so, because if you don't plan for it, right? So what will happen is that if some unevent happens, unplanned events happens, and somebody, the driving force of the business owner, one of the business owners, the founding business owner gets sick or passes, the business will be in disarray in a sense that the heirs will not know exactly how to proceed. So the lesson here is that business owners who do not plan for transition are often faced with uh, options that are not, very good. If they have to sell their business, for instance, if they have not done a business valuation, maybe it isn't the right time to sell. I have a client in Argentina, for instance, they would like to sell their business, but it's not, there aren't as many buyers because the economy is not doing very well, and the company profits are also have declined as their primary founder of that company got sick and was not able to continue to be active with the organization. So, however, those business owners that plan carefully, they can actually realize value their life work. So they could actually, if they have done a business valuation during their lifetime and they have thought strategically, if they're in the process, if they would like to sell, or if they would like to have their children, take over, as well as, people with certain kind of skills, then they are in a much better position to be able to either continue the business and or to sell it and enjoy the benefits of their long hard work over the years. So it's not easy for a business entrepreneur that who has created and guided the company for many, many years to seriously commit to sharing responsibilities with others, whether they are, family members or not. But it is critically important for the business owner to realize that, start thinking about the next generation, and how you could maximize the value of your business. So again, I like to emphasize the importance of succession plan, working with trusted advisors, creating a time frame, training and identifying positions needed within the company, so that those positions could be filled by either family members who have the set of skills or by non-family members, that have the set of skills to bring the company to the next level. Now that I have shared this information with you, I hope that I have given you some ideas as to what kinds of the process that you may want to follow, and that you will be surround yourself by valuable advisors to be able to create and implement a successful family business legacy plan. I know that some of this information, or I hope that some of this information will energize you, will motivate you to create a family business plan that meets your overall objective, right? Both personally as well as the business. So I will now just say thank you for turning to the Financial Legacy podcast here with me, Maria Ellis. And, to learn more about how to work with me, go to financiallegacy.live. Here at the Financial Legacy podcast, we're changing lives one person at a time. to help you create and implement and enjoy your financial success. Connect with us at financiallegacy.live for complimentary consultation. Thank you.
In providing answers, neither Maria Ellis nor the Financial Legacy podcast and guest speakers are acting as certified financial planners, advisors, certified financial analysts, CPAs, economists, accountants, or lawyers. Neither Maria Ellis or the Financial Legacy podcast and guest speakers make any recommendations as to any specific securities or investments. All content is for informational and general purposes only and does not constitute as financial or legal advice. You should consult your own tax, legal, and financial advisors regarding your particular situation. Neither Maria Ellis nor Financial Legacy podcast and guest speakers accept any responsibility for any loss that may arise from accessing or reliance from any information in this podcast. And to the extent permitted by law, we exclude all liabilities for any loss or damages derived directly or indirectly arising from the use of the information.